What do you see from this Eagles front, or offensive line, I should say, and what kind of challenges are they going to present in your unit?
Well, I mean, they're one of the biggest, baddest O-lines in the league. You know, they're physical. They're going to try to bring it right to our front door. You know, they build everything is from the run game. And you got to bow up and bring your big boy pants and let's play some football against these guys. I mean, at the end of the day, this is the defending Super Bowl champions, right? To be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, until somebody else wins the Super Bowl, that's the team we're all trying to beat. And, you know, I mean, this is about as exciting an environment as we can get into, you know, get a chance to measure ourselves against the defending champions and see where we are in our process.
I don't know. From Saquon's standpoint specifically, I mean, there's a lot of good backs in this league, but what makes him uniquely challenging to stop?
I think he is an explosive player that every time his hands are on the ball, he's a threat to score a touchdown. You can't give him a crease. He outruns angles. You see DBs come out of the secondary and they think they got the angle on him, and he just runs by him. Then he runs you over. He's physical. He's fast. I mean, he's a complete back that every time he touches the ball, you better find a way to get multiple guys there to get him on the ground.
Is there tush-push play, and what's the key to stopping it in your eyes?
I mean, look, I mean, a lot's been made about that play. I think you just got to figure out a way to out-leverage the leverage. However we choose to do that is what we'll come up with. I mean, but at the end of the day, I think there's something like converting 70% on those 31, you know, third and ones, and the league average is around like, they think they're up around 80, and the league average is about 70. So, you know, they're getting one more per game. We just got to find a way to take that advantage back, right? They found a way to create an advantage. We got to figure out a way to change the leverage to our advantage and stop that play, but that's not the only thing they do. You know, we got to worry about a lot of other things. We can't be giving up. You know, we've talked about here before. You don't want to sell out to stop one and give up 60, but you can't just give them the one either. So to me, it's finding the happy medium, and we'll come up with a plan and figure out how to try and stop it.
Lacing one on the ground.
I'm not going to talk about that, but yeah.
What's it like though, coming to work when you have like kind of a special project to work on that week? Obviously, you're going to game plan like regular, but you also have this thing that's really unique that no team really does as well as them.
Well, I mean, every game is unique, right? Everybody does something. We just got done with a team that doesn't huddle, and so that creates a lot of stress. That creates a lot of stress in how we have to practice, what we have to rep, and what we have to show the players during the week. That's really just one facet of what they are. I get it. Everybody's making a big deal about that, but that's they are so much more than that. They are a complete team. They're gonna, you know, try and shove the ball down your throat, running it. They're gonna take chunks in the pass game, and we've got to find a way to stop that. You know, I mean, to sit there and say we're gonna uniquely focus on this one little play, I mean, that's not what's gonna win and lose the game for us. At least I don't think so.
Your unique challenge that you present to offenses is your personnel.
I'm sorry, what?
I said the unique challenge you pose to offenses is your personnel. 3 linebackers on the field, 100% of the snaps the last 2 games. Don't see that in modern NFL very much. You know, what is the strain, you know, having those 3 linebackers? What strain do you think that puts on opposing offenses?
I think the first thing that opposing offenses are trying to do is figure out who's doing what. You know, and I think we have such a versatile group of guys that can play the run, that can rush the passer, that can drop into coverage. It gives us a lot of flexibility to move these parts around. And again, we're back to the idea of creating an advantage, right? We can manipulate our people, line them up specific ways, put them in certain spots. And what we're trying to figure out a way to do is to stay ahead of them and dictate what we think they're going to do. We don't want to just sit back and allow them to set the terms of how we play. So we have a group of players that can do a lot of different things from a lot of different positions and a lot of different alignments. And I think that's the advantage we're having is teams aren't sure what we're doing. So that creates indecision for them, and it allows us to play faster.
To that point, Dan talked about Brian, Anzo, and Derek being those 3 guys that are really the most versatile. When you look at Derek specifically, where do you think he's taken kind of the next step in his game? Because he seems like he's playing some of the best football of his career right now.
I think he's embraced the total role. Like, he understands that it isn't just one thing that he has to do to help this team win. You look at the different the places that he lines up and the different jobs that we ask him to do. That's a wide array of skill set, and he's got to find time. We have to find time in practice and individual to work on all those things. As far as one thing where he's impacted the game that he hadn't done in previous, I'd say is just being a pressure player. Like, he's being disruptive, chasing these quarterbacks down. That's a dimension to our game. That's a dimension to our defense that, you know, these quarterbacks start to try to break contain. He's coming off the edge. He's up the middle, and now you got a guy that's as fast as he is and as physical and long as he is. He's chasing these guys down and creating negative plays.
David, what did you like most about Brian's game last week? Obviously, the sack and a half stands out, but it felt like he got back to kind of his sort of thorough, dominating ways on defense.
You talking about Branch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Branch is he's an explosive player. Like, he's a big play waiting to happen, and we just have to create the opportunities for him to do that, to put him in those spots. I mean, that's who he is, right? That's what we expect to see from him every game. Those violent hits. You know, he's great in coverage. He's great in, you know, when we send him on a pressure, he's beating the guy that's blocking him. He's coming down, filling gaps, punishing the running back okay, they're happy they got 5 yards, but at the end of the play, the running back is getting hit really hard from our safety coming in. Okay, you got 5 yards, but you paid for it. And that's the type of player he is. And I just think we missed him for a week, right? Because he wasn't out there, and I think he's just back to being who he is. I think that's the player he's been all along.
When you look at the defense overall, giving up a little bit more red zone touchdowns, 27th in the league, I believe. When you look at it, what can the defense do a little bit better to maybe force some more field goals?
Execution is really at the heart of everything. Right, that's defensive football. You can sit there and say, "Oh, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to create opportunities for these guys to see the plays in practice." Then we've got to show it to them on the film. If there's anything that needs to be corrected off the film, we correct it, and then they got to take it to the game. Excuse me. But I just think it's about execution. You know, it's not that what we're doing is unsound or anything. It's, oh, this is what people are taking advantage of. I think it's that situation where in any given play, we've got to not allow that one breakdown. You know, that's what it is. I can't tell you where it's going to happen before the play, and it's great. We can see it after the play, but that's our charge as coaches, is we got to make sure all 11 guys are prepared properly so that they don't have that breakdown.
Shep's talked about some of your reserves being starter caliber, right? Zach Cunningham, you're about to get one back, and Malcolm Rodriguez, Grant probably falls in that mix as well. When you have 3 starters that are as complete as they are, is there any frustration in just not being able to find maybe defensive roles for some of these guys that maybe merit playing time?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's something we've always done historically, is every player that's come in through here, if you show us that you have an ability to execute a job and a game plan, we'll find roles for you specifically in that situation, in that package, in that personnel of people. Who that is, where that is, that's kind of evolves with each player. And, you know, I think it's good for us to find ways to get more players to be able to play, because, you know, I think we've talked about this in the past. Like, you don't want guys out there with 100% play count. You can't, like, this isn't a war of attrition over 17 games. And, you know, it'd be great if we had everybody healthy for every play of every game, but this game wears on their bodies. And the idea is we got to find ways to make sure that we're still fast and fresh and playing violently in week 17, 18, and hopefully into the playoffs.
How do you generate more, I guess, consistency with the pass rush? I mean, you've had some great games and then some games where it seems to peter out a little bit. How do you try to get that consistency level kind of, you know, as a more high level, I guess?
Well, I mean, again, we're back to every team is different, right? Every team's O-line is different. The plan that we go in to attack Baltimore is not necessarily the same thing we're going to go in to attack Tampa, which is not what we're going to use to attack Philly. And so, we have to decide as a staff, okay, what's the most important thing? How are we going to win this game? Because it's not about this stat or that stat. It's about we got to find ways to get stops. We got to keep them from scoring points. And if that means caging the quarterback and making him throw out of the well over the top, or flushing a quarterback out and trying to run him down somewhere else, well, then that's what we have to do, right? And then each week that changes, based upon who we're playing. And because of that, the results will vary. So some weeks it'll look like, oh my God, these guys were sending pressure after pressure because that was the game plan. The next week it's like coverage because the quarterback, we want to try and affect the quarterback with coverage. So I think that variability, that's the NFL too, right? Not every team, even the best pass rush team in the league, is not going to have that every week, And I think our goal is we want to do whatever it takes to win the game, and that's how